So good morning. Here I am at Weston-super-Mare. In fact, here I am in Breen Beach. And I got down here, I left the house before sunrise, got here kind of when the sun was up. But the forecast said the wind was going to be square on to this beautiful, long, small ridge. It's nice and safe. Here's my perfectly formed launch platform for training on. I don't think there's any way I can screw too much up. It's all flat on the top more or less, so you can't really get blown off and fall down anywhere in the back. But if I do get blown by strong winds in the glider, on the ground anyway, it will get stopped by this and or the foliage here. And on top of that I've got me cutting tools, a couple of different cutting tools just in case I get into even more trouble. So it's a lovely huge long beach, as you can see, and I come here kite surfing here. Here comes the Land Ranger. I can see lights in the distance. It's probably the Ranger, which is fair enough, but I don't want to get told to go away just yet before I've had any fun. But yeah, the wind's blowing from the opposite direction from what was forecast, and what it's doing at the airport and what it's doing further up the beach according to the windometer and anemometer. So I'm just going to hover around here, not literally unfortunately. Okay. So that's the view from up on the top of one of these dunes, and look, I find this pretty spectacular place here. Of course it's still kind of officially locked down, not quite sure what's going on, keeps changing. But at the moment, I don't think there's anyone here at this caravan site. But just look, no dog poo. I've already checked, those gates are locked over there, so there's coming here for any dog walking nonsense like that, so I don't get dog poo in my glider. But look at this setup and launch site. And over there is where the wind's supposed to be coming from, precisely from that direction. Is it? No. And off we go. My plan is to obviously just do small hops from down there when the wind is right and safe, and then, well, incidentally my glider's still wet. It's always wet in the UK on the ground generally in winter. It's not quite winter yet, but it's almost winter, as good as winter. Once I do those small hops from down there and everything's fine, the glider looks set up and not tangled like it was the other day because I fell in brambles, but that's another story. Yeah, I will elect to go just a little bit higher, probably about a meter up or more slightly, and then fly away from the dune, and then what I think I'll do is maybe do a very slight turn, which should let me be airborne for a little bit longer. And if that works out alright and nothing goes weird with that, I will turn a bit more. And maybe the aim is today, if I'm not pushing the boat out too far, is to fly slowly along. You heard a noise over there, so I'm going to get away before someone tells me to go away, which is the last thing I want. So, just navigating these dunes here while I... Good, the glider's still over there. This is just my luck with the wind. Just my luck. I have no luck with wind, or maybe it's just always like that everywhere. Never what it says it's going to do in the forecast. Although, in other areas of my life, it does tend to do what it says in the forecast, so I don't quite know what's going on there. Anyway, so I told you earlier that the wind is coming from the polar opposite direction it was forecast to, and is doing at other reported stations at the moment. Still doing that a bit, and I can see the clouds going in the direction they're supposed to be going, but the wind down here is going in the opposite direction. So there's a shipwreck here at Breen, somewhere in the sand, and I don't think that was it. Always a threat of quicksand on the beach here in Weston-super-Mare / Breen near Bristol, but I've never come across it or even experienced anything like it. So yeah, I'm pretty invincible, nothing ever happens to me, so yeah, it's all good. Anyone who does wind sports will appreciate this. The wind never does what it's forecast to do 90% of the time. So I figured, as I'm para-waiting, as the term goes, I'll tell you about my history, my relationship with paragliding. First started many years ago, about 30 years ago when I was a kid, and I was like hooked on the notion of flying and hovering and weightlessness and the like, anything that flew basically, except hot air balloons. Never been quite into that. Anyway, during my teenage years I managed to convince a couple of friends of mine to come along and do a paragliding introduction lesson. And that's as far as I took it back then, because of course when you're a kid money is not really plentiful, and paragliding isn't expensive, but it isn't cheap either. So I went to university and did all that boring stuff instead, which put me in even more debt. Anyway, don't go to university, kids, unless you have to. Did have a good time though. 5 years of just mucking about. Actually, it was brilliant. Yeah, I'd strongly recommend university to anyone if you don't mind being in debt. Oh yeah, the story. So that's as far as I took that with regards to paragliding. And then a number of years later, I knew someone who was heavily into paragliding, and incidentally I had bought a hang glider. It's another story, and I didn't fly it really at all. There's a YouTube video on that, like 1 inch off the ground. But I traded that in with this paragliding guy and called Murray Hay, good chap. He I don't remember much about it, strangely, but he got me solo. It didn't take long. He just got me to fly down a hill, which I seem to remember. Well, I don't remember much about, unfortunately. Anyway, we did that, and that was that. Skip 20 years or so. Yeah, God, it's about that. After getting into kite surfing, which is something I thought looked a bit naff, but then when you try it, it's amazing. Good all round. The next logical progression from that was to try paragliding, which I might have thought was a little bit naff because it looks a bit slow and dull, but actually it's not. And I'm about to prove that to myself by jumping off these dunes. If the wind ever picks up, which it rarely does in my experience when I really want it to, and go for a little hover around these dunes, which should be like loads of fun. Of course, they say don't teach yourself. I can't go to my paragliding school right now. I had a few lessons. Let's get that out in the open. I've had a few lessons with Access Paragliding in Wales. They're good, and they got me to a level where I know what I'm doing with everything and know my safety stuff, and I've passed the exam already. So I'm not a complete ab initio, and I understand all that weather and all that stuff quite well. So yeah. I wonder how many people make para-waiting videos that nobody ever watches. So yeah. So I bought this. This is second-hand equipment for ground handling specifically, because it doesn't matter too much if I wreck it. I've already got it soaking wet on a number of occasions, and when the glider specifically didn't do what I was asking it to do, it fell into some brambles, which I'm fairly sure didn't rip anything, but it took me a long time to get it out of there. No. Hey, yeah. Fuck it. Haha! Okay. Yeah, boy. God damn. Boy, this is it. there. My poor ghoulies. This is high, definitely quite high, perhaps higher than I had hoped for. A bit scary. I'm alright, thanks. Thanks anyway. Just practicing. Yeah, it's pretty tiring. More tiring than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, thanks for checking on me. So the seagulls are taking the mick, just on that dog turd, popping around, making it all look very easy. The wind here is gusty in sort of variable direction, which will much help. But yeah, I got a couple of hops in there. It wasn't sustained like I was hoping for, and I felt like more of a passenger than a pilot, because you're putting a turn input in. Sometimes it will turn, sometimes it won't. When it comes to sort of flare, it's kind of a, you put an input in and it does something, but it doesn't feel very precise. So yeah, when I was trying to hug the side of the cliffs, dunes, I didn't feel I had that much control in order to get the right distance away from them. Maybe it's just the glider, maybe it's me, or maybe it's just the nature of the beast. Anyway, I've learned there is any wind, any gust or anything, it's enough to, you hear me a lot and make a lot of noise in your ears, a fair amount of noise in your ears, and that's probably too much. So yeah, call it a day. So, I guess I achieved my objective, but I've sanded my cells all over my glider, which was wet and now it's sandy. So that's it. The end of my successful, not successful self-teaching of the old paragliding situation. Yeah, it was good. I would have preferred to have had sustained flight for a long time, you know? Just to stay up for as long as I wanted to, for free. That's what's so good about this sport. Yeah, the trees are blowing a little bit now. Maybe it's good enough for kite surfing now. Shame the tide is out and it's not really allowed. Then again, neither was that really. Or was it? Who knows? The rules keep changing. So there we go. Hope you learned something, maybe. And if you're a beginner, maybe more so. And yeah. There's the other place to do some ground handling / mini flights. It's called Brent Knoll. Another paragliding site, Crook Peak. That's rather high and like a proper place to go paragliding. One day.